Oh, and we are back with the Blame Girl podcast with
Mr. Terry Wayne.
And we got Dan Long in the house. Welcome, Dan.
Long overdue.
Oh, and we are back with the Blame Girl podcast. It was muted last
week.
No, it didn't. Last week it didn't do it. It didn't do it last week. So yes, we are back with the Blame Girl podcast with Terry Wayne. We got Dan Long in the house. Welcome, Dan.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I feel like I interrupted a moment. Did I?
A little, but that's fine. Yeah, it's long overdue for having Dan on.
That's good.
That is.
I hope he wrote that down this morning.
Yeah,
I didn't. That's just straight off the dome.
Off the dome. Okay.
Yeah. No, we had your wife on. Probably what, a year ago, 18 months ago, something like that.
A while ago.
Who?
That lady you live with.
Oh, right. Yeah. 5'7".
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
No, he did it. No, he did it.
Yeah.
So, Dan, how was your weekend?
Boring. Nothing to report.
I'm sick of these boring weekends. You didn't go out?
We were out. We were up till 2 Wednesday and Thursday for no reason. We stayed up late.
That was your weekend, then. Yeah. How was that weekend? Tell us.
Well, that was fun. We were up late. You know, we got drunk after Dada. We got drunk after Florida's Funniest.
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing too exciting. I wish it was more exciting.
No Saturday, Sunday stuff.
No, it was sober Saturday. I didn't drink it all on Saturday. We drank yesterday.
Okay.
That's gross.
Yeah.
And I don't approve of it.
I don't either.
I'm sorry.
Okay. No, it's fine. Y'all can have your sober days all you want.
Well, you can't claim to be an alcoholic if you take breaks. So I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Terry, what about your weekend? How was yours?
I had a good weekend. I went to a little adult shindig on Saturday night.
What do you mean adult shindig?
Well, any shindig that ends at like 9 o'clock is an adult shindig.
Oh, okay.
You know, but had a good time anyway. Me and my lady were on mushrooms the whole time, and nobody could tell, and it was awesome. So,
I didn't know you were. Y'all told me about your lady.
Yeah, at the end, you know, I told you at the end, but we wanted to see how long anybody could. You know, see if anybody could tell.
So yeah, no. I was at that same. It was a costume party. It was a lot of fun. I arrested a white Ariel I saw out and about. Appropriate 2022. You know, Friday I went to the Peach. Ruben, he hosted. I don't know his last name, but he hangs out with Dane. The elusive Dane, we can't get Dane on, but so there was a show there. I got thrown on at the last minute. That was a lot of fun. And then I hung out at another comic's house for a little get together after that. And yeah, Sunday I did chores.
Ooh.
Boring Sunday.
So I did Saturday,
but I still had some wine last night.
All right.
So anyway, are y'all ready to blame?
Yeah. Let's.
I was born ready.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it. You may have heard that, and this news just overjoyed me because this was just so unbelievable that Alex Jones slandered these families for all these years, but finally the families saw justice. While they were reading the verdict that he owes these families almost $1 billion, he celebrated almost $1 billion defamation judgment. Y'all, who's to blame? Why would he do this?
Well, here's my thoughts. I wanted to share my thoughts on this, first of all, which is, I've always thought this conspiracy was interesting. I don't know if you guys probably listen to conspiracies. They're interesting. They're intriguing. This one's weird because in order for this to exist, you would have to have child crisis actors, which would be strange. I don't even know how that would work. So this is like one of the most radical sort of conspiracies out there. It's shocking to me that anyone ever bought into this. You know, other ones like 9/11 and other things I can kind of understand, but this one, like fake children being killed. Like it's just
The
it's too
things
much.
people want to believe.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
I agree. Like, I can't believe Americans bought into a conspiracy like this and harass these people, threaten them
How
with
can you believe they didn't? You
Yeah.
know, like,
what?
I mean, I've said it before that you know, conspiracy theories are just ghost stories that adults tell each other. And you know, a lot of conspiracy theories, when you think about it, like they've done studies on why people believe this stuff. And it basically, I mean, it's a phenomenon. I don't know the name of it right offhand, but basically, the larger the problem, the more people think it has to have a large cause behind it.
Yeah.
So I think my favorite example of it was if you look at JFK, right? People couldn't wrap their minds around the fact that a lone gunman could change the world like that. So
Yeah.
there's conspiracy theories abound everywhere. However, when you look at the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan, there's basically no conspiracy theories, even though it was a single gunman. But the only difference is he didn't die.
Yeah.
So because he didn't die, there's little to no theories about it. You can use that same logic and go right down the list with every single conspiracy theory out there, and it all makes sense. 9/11. How could just 10,
But they
like
got
12
so
people?
dangerous. They got so dangerous with Alex Jones. These families were being threatened with death, with rape, with just harassed on their. They couldn't even grieve,
No, no.
and they still can't.
It was
People
awful.
still believe this bullshit
Yeah.
about crisis actors.
Yeah, they were being tormented, and I guess it's funny because like that has to be, you know, $1 billion. Like, where does he even come up with this money? Like, are we going to see Alex Jones at like Dollar General now? Like,
No, he
just,
doesn't even have that
like
amount of money.
No,
like,
he's not going to stop either. He's already filed bankruptcy trying to dodge it.
yeah. He's not going to pay any of it, you know.
No, they'll never see a dime.
Yeah.
But
So what is that? Why he was laughing and celebrating while the verdict was being? He did it on his podcast.
I mean, because he knows there'll be. I mean, any of those family members trying to get any of that money, they're going to be in court for years trying to get any of that money. So
He's appealing.
I mean,
sure.
I think it's this overconfidence that he has in the, you know, bureaucracy of it. But with such a large group, I mean, it might be 2 years, 3 years from now, but he's definitely going to be paying out quite a bit of that.
Well, yeah.
But it's nice to see some kind of ramification.
But but with him, why would he act like that while the verdict was being read? Do you think he's mentally unstable?
I think that's just him. I mean, he's committed to what he does with this, and if you
But
can't
I'm not
break
sure
character,
if it is a character, okay? Because I'm not sure if it's this bullshit for profit or if he is just insane.
he's profit.
No, he's definitely mentally unstable, but he also is in this for money. I think he genuinely believes all this shit, but he's definitely in it for money because he's out there hawking his products on, you know, during the trial. He was like,
just a piece of shit. Like,
well,
yeah, some people are garbage.
He committed. I mean, I gotta say, as much as what he says is horrible, he never broke character. He stuck to what he was doing. He's horrible throughout the whole process.
I just wish he could have gone to jail. Like,
yeah,
I wish this was criminal what he did.
No.
You know?
Unfortunately, civil is the best you can
freedom
do.
of speech.
Yep, gotta have it. And that means you gotta watch the skinheads walk through the streets with their, you know, stupid ass parades. But that's the cost of doing business.
It's that Constitution, that First and Second Amendment, which brings me to our next story. We have a road rage, right, in Florida.
Oh, this was sad.
That resulted in 2 fathers shooting each other's daughters. Who's to blame, guys?
Irony? I don't.
I blame. This is going in left field here. I blame John Woo. I blame the Wachowski brothers. I blame all the directors.
Wachowski sisters.
Wachowski siblings now that
Yeah.
make guns cool. Where it used to be an era where it was kung fu. They could have got out and fought. But now guns are the cooler thing to do. So now they're pulling out guns and shooting each other and these
Each other's kids, actually.
each other's kids. And you know, I mean, these girls, if they went to public school, this was probably not the first time they were shot at that day. So like I would imagine that, you know, they were probably, oh, what is
Roasted.
yeah, what is this history class? You know what I mean? Like they're getting shot at again. But like but no, it's obviously very unfortunate, but it's like, who doesn't just fight with their fist or just knives anymore? Like, I mean, why do we gotta Sig Sauer?
I think about this movie Cooley High. Have y'all ever seen it? It's from the 70s. It's an old Black movie, and that song "It's So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday" that Boyz II Men did.
Okay.
It came from that movie, and in that movie, one of the main characters gets killed because they beat him to death.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that does not happen anymore. It's
Yeah.
always a gun.
It's always guns.
So you think maybe it's a little bit of our culture that led to a shooting like this, where there's two dads and they're in their kids' lives and they're fucking just armed and will shoot anybody and bring this type of energy to themselves. I've always said, like, with guns, like, you're gonna bring that energy. You're gonna keep that same energy, and look at what happened with these two. And then they shot their kids.
Yeah. But what they did survive. I think they both, from what I read, they both survived,
Yeah.
which is good.
A 5-year-old and a 14-year-old. Terry, why you look so bored?
I'm not bored. I'm like, boy, that's gonna be hard to explain to them, to those kids, you know, as they get older.
It's very irresponsible as a parent, as a gun owner.
Well, whenever it's road rage, it's a little hard to prove, like, say, stand your ground when you're literally in a vehicle you can escape in, you know?
Yeah, does that apply on 95? Like, I don't know the rule on that. Like,
according to DeSantis, it applies everywhere.
okay.
Well, it comes from what do they call it? Castle doctrine, which
Right.
means you can protect your castle, which used to be the case everywhere. Was if you come into my house or on my property, you know, I can do whatever it takes to defend myself. But they basically taken that and then applied it to your person, which goes with you everywhere.
Yeah.
So
We should still follow many castle law. I mean, there's a lot of good law on moats that I think we should still.
boats are great. Yeah, sure.
We should still follow. So I think that's fair that we still follow castle law.
Well, as one congressman, a black congresswoman put it, she said, but what happens when somebody says they're afraid just because you're black? Like, black people scare me. So now you can just go around shooting any black person that walks up to you.
But yeah.
What? How did we get here, Terry?
Well, that's stand your ground. Well, that's kind of what, like,
That's the problem with stand your ground.
Yeah.
Is you can say anything scares you, you know.
Yeah.
I felt threatened.
Definitely if you're a cop too, you know. But
there you go.
that's the problem with owning guns. If you're jumpy and jittery, you'll shoot anything. You'll pull the gun out for any reason, and then you like turn the heat up.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, like, we've gone over guns a bunch of times on here, and you know me, like, I believe in your right to own a firearm. I just don't think people should carry them around with them. That's it. I have a gun, but I keep it in my house. Because what's the best case scenario? I carry a gun with me. Best case scenario, I'm in a shootout. You know, like,
I just want to warn you, like, look up the best case scenario if you keep it in your house.
Yeah. So
So-
I don't think, obviously, like,
Nothing.
military grade firearms. I don't know why we
Yeah.
need those.
Yeah.
They're
no,
just
it's so
to kill mass amounts of people. Like, why does Joe across the street need to own that? So
'Cause
well,
he
and then people say, well, what's
and
the
he needs
difference?
to fight against the military because he was in the military, and then he needs to fight against the military
yeah.
in case the military.
Well, that's it. That whole argument is stupid because the government has drones. So anytime you take up arms against the government,
I
you're
know
you're
it's
already dead.
stupid, but these are the same people that listen to Alex Jones. So I don't know what to
Yeah.
tell you.
Well, I like to use the adage, like I was trained. I was trained from a very young age to use guns, and
Yes, you're
trained
like
all the way up through my 20s, competed, shit like that. If
Dan,
you
you
take,
train weapons.
Not formally.
Oh.
I would shoot clay pigeons at my friend's house out back, and also he was rich, so we shot in his gun range. So you can make the argument I'm not trained at all, and I was pretty dumb with them. I tried to
I
shoot
was too.
two at
some point.
once. Did you ever try that? I tried to do two
I
at
didn't
once.
shoot, but I definitely, there's a picture of me floating around with 2 guns here and 2 guns tucked into my waistband.
I saw that.
When I was in my 20s.
I think LinkedIn. I think I saw that.
Shut up, Dan.
well,
Oh my
the
God.
point
Your profile picture on LinkedIn.
the point I was making about the assault weapons is pretty simple. Like, we don't allow people to have plastic explosives. You can't just rock up to Walmart and buy some plastic. But a pound of the plastic explosives in a normal person's hand is less dangerous than an AR-15 with a few 50-round clips in somebody like my hands. Because a pound of explosives, you're only going to kill maybe 10 people. But if you give me a few 50-round clips and a bad attitude, I could probably do a lot more damage than that. And I could
Harry,
say the same
ever
thing about
purchased
anybody
an
else.
AR-15, let me
I'm
know.
just saying I could say the same thing about anybody else who's been trained and proficient or has ever competed in shooting sports. Like,
Yeah. I don't know.
they're way more dangerous.
Yeah.
Like that shit out in huh?
How were you trained? Was it? Yeah, because were you in the military? I don't know.
No.
Okay, so
No,
where did you train? Yeah.
My father was a hunter, so I got started early through hunting. Then into shooting sports, like you said, clay pigeons. I used to do trap and skeet and shooting clays and all that. Sporting clays, I mean.
The Southern white boys.
And then I was an instructor at Anthony's Arms for about a year. So that's a shooting range that used to be
He's
done.
from the South. That's
Yeah.
his friend.
Yeah.
He's from the South.
I mean, it is a big thing in that culture. But
it's funny because like not to stay on this topic so long, but like my friend that actually, because when I had those guns, we were at my friend's duck lease in Texas, and I learned that like they got his nephew, 5-year-old nephew, a gun, and I was like, what the fuck?
I got my first one when I was 8.
You can't.
If I would have shot a gun when I was 5, I would have fallen over. Like I couldn't have held.
Maybe he was 7.
fallen.
I don't know. It was way too young.
Even 8, I don't think I could have withstood the kickback.
Yeah.
So I would have fallen.
Well, if it was like in my case, if it was a 22, you'd probably been fine. There's not very much kick on a 22.
I've only shot a shotgun. That's all I shot. It was so scary, and it hit.
That's a lot more kick than a 22.
And I don't like
a 22 is the next step up from a BB gun. So
But personally, as a single woman, I have a shotgun in my house. So if you ever, I'm just saying.
As a grown man, I have a shotgun in my house. So, I think that's perfect. I think a shotgun is a perfect home defense weapon, depending on what kind of shells you use. Personally, I always go with the scare versus kill thing, which is you load two or three shells individually. You do a birdshot shell first, and then a buckshot shell after. So you can exactly. So you do the scare first. So if somebody's just breaking in, you hit them with the birdshot, and it doesn't do anything but hurt them a lot. But
speaking of hurt a lot. There was a prisoner that was hurt a lot. He died. And it was here in Florida again. And you know what the prison said? That they blamed his death on cancer. But then after video and investigation, it was revealed that they broke his neck and they failed to provide medical treatment. Who's to blame?
I would blame I guess the prisons are considered what? They're government entities, right? So the government, because they are paid like prison guards are paid like nothing. I mean, it's like a $9.50 an hour job. It's awful, it's horrible. And so you get not the best people to do these jobs because it's like, you know, you can make more doing literally anything else and it's not horrible.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I mean, I feel like this shit happens all the time. Like Minda watches that 60 Days In, and like there'll be so many times on that show where someone's having a seizure or they get hurt, and like it'll take 30 minutes for some like fat guard to like slowly walk in to help them and barely care. And it's just like, you're not getting the best people to work with.
What's weird to me is like, even though you don't make a lot of money, do you have any fucking humanity?
Yeah.
You know, like if you like with this,
Well,
they knocked this guy and like broke his neck, like he was turned like in a crazy position, and then his food trays piled up, and one prison guard finally stood up. Do you think it's because prisoners tend to cry wolf a lot?
well,
Yeah. Go ahead, Terry.
well, let's start by addressing the fact that most prison/jails are not run by the government. They're privately owned for-profit companies.
Black, yes.
Yep, they are listed. Most of them are listed on the Dow Jones. Like you can buy stock in a prison company, which should not be allowed.
Like Nancy Pelosi, or right? Or
Exactly. It should be illegal to have this done because you're incarcerating people and taking away their God-given rights by the Constitution. So no, it shouldn't be a for-profit industry, because how do you make profit running prisons? There's only two ways. You take stuff away or you put more prisoners in.
Yeah.
Or a combination of the two. So yeah, when you're talking about prisoners, yeah, they do act like animals, and any person will act like an animal if you treat them like one.
Yep. And that's how society looks down on them too. And I think, hey, this person that we attacked and his neck broke, well, he must have done something bad to get in here. So what? We don't care about him. We're not going to give him proper medical care, because you don't really have rights anymore once you're in there. I mean, technically you do, but you don't actually. Like,
I mean, I guess it's like they say, you can see how someone treats people by the way they treat animals. And if you treat an animal like that,
if you take a pit bull and treat it like a crazy animal, it's going to act like one. You could say the very same thing about most people. And I mean, don't even get me started on the whole cash bail thing, because some people are just in prison right now, or in jail at least, because they can't pay their bail, which is tantamount to a debtor's prison, which we made illegal back in the 1800s. I mean, if you're an average person and they say, well, you're accused of a crime, you're not guilty of it yet, because it's always innocent until proven guilty, but they'll stick your ass in jail just because you don't have that $5,000 to pay that bail. And you'll sit there for sometimes almost a year,
Well, there's a difference also between jail and prison,
Well, there was a pretty widely reported on story.
Prison means you did it, quote unquote. Prison means but we know there's a lot of innocent people in prison, and that's why, like, even if these people are guilty, I don't think you should mistreat them. And then there's a lot of innocent people in there, so you might end up mistreating an innocent person. You never know. But
there was a pretty widely reported story about a guy named Khalif Browder from New York. He was accused of stealing a bike. They sent him to Rikers Island.
I remember this
for over a year, and then the charges were dropped. But the only reason he couldn't get out is because he didn't have any money.
Yeah.
So he got over a year for a crime that wasn't even prosecuted in Rikers fucking Island, one of the worst prisons in America.
And
and when he got out, he lasted less than a year, and then he killed himself.
Right? Rikers Island is a jail. And the fact that he got out is crazy.
Yeah, there's still a lot of.
Well, he got out and then killed himself.
I mean, that's crazy, because it's like worse than the military to go to prison, So,
well, you're just creating criminals. The whole idea of
you don't think it has anything. I know these people aren't paid much, but you don't think it has anything to do with that law enforcement mentality, like
Oh,
I'm in
sure,
charge.
sure. Well, yeah, it's that power hungry, like I have dominion over you attitude. But that's not the root of the problem. The root of the problem is the way that we look at prisoners in general. I mean, the United States has what, like less than 20% of the world's population, but we have the highest number of people in prison, more than 2 million.
And what stands out to me about this one is that he was a 62-year-old Army veteran, and we don't care about our veterans, you know?
No.
Nope.
Well, I mean, that's not once they commit a crime, you're just worthless at that point. That's why the whole idea of like rehabilitation is a fucking joke. It's a joke. Once you go to prison, your life is over. It's over. There's not going to be some big rallying cry movement when you get out. No, you're just another ex-con who can't get a job anywhere other than McDonald's.
Well, you know who deserves to go to prison?
Ted
Is
Cruz.
the person who hurled a beer at comedian Ariel Elias last week.
Oh, that shit was awesome.
A comedian hurled a beer at her. I mean, an audience member hurled a beer at her. Who's to blame, guys? Why did this happen? Is it Will Smith's fault?
I think this girl is about to get a late night TV spot. So I think she should pay whoever threw this beer at her, because that person missed her by 3 feet with that beer. That was not close. He threw the beer at the back wall. It was still terrible. But like, Jesus Christ, next time I'm on stage, throw a beer at me, throw a fucking meth pipe. I will smoke that meth pipe if I can get a late night TV spot on stage. I don't give a shit. Throw a full beer can at my face. I don't care.
You heard it here. Dan Long says the ends justify the means.
Yeah. We're gonna let you know where he's at soon.
Yeah. So,
but it was a Trumper, y'all. Does that have anything to do with it? Do you see?
Of course it does.
Do you see
who's
a
to blame?
She's to blame. Or a Biden supporter doing this?
Who's to blame? She's to blame. You're a grown person. I believe anybody should be able to say whatever they want, right? I believe in that freedom of speech. However, it does have consequences, you know? So, like...
You're blaming the comic? You're blaming the comic?
I'm blaming a person that went on stage and talked politics to a mixed crowd. Oh, well, actually, they brought it up. That's right.
Yeah. That was the thing. She didn't talk politics at all. They were kind of fishing for it.
Then that's right. I recall now. I retract. I don't care about who threw the beer or why. What I care about is that baller ass move where she picked it up and drank it. She's like, thanks for the drink. And
it was 2 ounces of beer. I mean, come on. That was not.
Doesn't matter. It was.
Wasn't a stone cold. I wanted her to stone cold that all over her face.
You can keep talking.
You know, that's what I was looking for. But I don't know. I thought, yeah.
What are you doing?
Going a roach.
Why are we looking at this picture, this still image of you?
We got some technical issues going on over here.
What one of your animals is doing what?
I'll tell you later.
All right. Now tell us all, because we're all sitting here watching this now.
I'll get it.
Somebody spilled something. All right.
Yeah, we spilled something.
I guess it's just on me. No, you are held responsible for the things you say. That's what it is. So if you know you're dealing with a Trumper and, you know, you're feeling that tension, you do have to be an adult. Like I work, I've had many clients that were very staunch Trump supporters. You think if I go in there and talk about what an asshole he is, I'm not going to lose that job? I'm probably going to lose that job.
No, it's not. Like, I don't think that like I said, they brought it up. So she just responded, and she responded in a witty way. And they got fucking pissed when they got, because the girl got escorted out, and the man is who threw the beer at her.
Right.
I think it's some male fragility going on there for some reason, or maybe he was pissed at his girlfriend for getting him kicked out. They should have kept their goddamn mouth shut.
Well, if he's pissed at his girlfriend, why not throw the beer at her? Let's throw the beer at his girlfriend and not the comic.
Thank you.
I still don't think he threw the beer at her. It missed.
Oh, he definitely did.
It hit the back wall by 3. I think he threw the beer at the wall. And it sort of sprayed. I'm still not saying it was right. It was still bad, but she's getting a late night spot. Pay that motherfucker royalties. He got you that spot. You would not have late night spots. So who's to blame? I don't know. I guess Jimmy Fallon at this point. If he's giving her a late night spot.
Well, I'll say
You don't
that
think she
obviously,
deserves it? Like, she handled that pressure very well.
I ain't seen her-
in reality, I would blame Donald Trump.
He
Because
said-
remember, we gotta take it back to the roots. All right. The only reason these people are so angry is because Trump's had them riled up for the last 5 years.
yeah, they had to
So-
go bring up Trump at that fucking comedy show. That was so stupid.
Hey, no politics, no religion, you know? That
Yeah,
used to be the rule.
I don't know if I agree with that, but I mean, you have comics like Jon Stewart and, you know,
Right.
all
And
the
they
late night hosts. That's how they got their starts, you know. So I don't think it's definitely no comment, but you need, if you're going to see a comedy show, you need to know what you're going into. Like, you need to know a little bit about your comic, and if you're just really into comedy, you should go into it very neutral and just, you know, have fun. Like,
well, she handled it right, and the audience stayed on her side,
Yeah.
Mhm.
except for that guy. So I mean, I've been threatened on stage by a Trumper, you know, and I don't even tell
Political
political
on
jokes.
stage.
I did not. The
Why
comic
did they
before
threaten you?
I was hosting, the comic that I just brought off stage had
Mm.
talked about Trump. And then some guy in the back, some biker guy, started yelling at me. I'm like, what the fuck did I do? You know?
So this
So
is
yeah,
not,
I'll blame Trump because he's just made them all mad at the goddamn world.
I don't know, but you don't think Will Smith's kind of set a precedent with people? It seems like they have been kicked up since, like, Dave Chappelle got attacked, and now just like random people are getting attacked on stage.
That stuff happens.
I don't think so.
Like-
It's just the flavor of the minute.
It's not new. Like, people have been attacked on stage for as long as stand-up's been a thing.
Mhm.
Like, it's not. I mean, look at some of your, Lenny. What's his name? Lenny Bruce.
Lenny Bruce.
Yeah. Like, I mean, he used to get like arrested and all. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
this isn't new. It's always going to be part of it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the flavor of the minute for story wise. Ever since Chris Rock and Will Smith is like, oh, we should cover every incident that happens during a comedy show now, you know? Because like I said, I got threatened
think
on
that's
stage,
something
and that was
new.
like 5 years ago.
It's not even that. It's like that went viral because that was crazy. That was fucking crazy. Like, if
Mhm.
you haven't seen the video, I encourage you to go look at it. Like, I don't think that girl did anything wrong. And it's just violent. These people are violent and they're dangerous and they're gun owners. And I think it represents a bigger part of society. And it's just like, fuck, we got to be careful out here.
Tilt your camera a little more towards Dan. He's cut off again.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. We moved it.
She always puts herself in the center. I hate it.
it.
Okay. Speaking of, let's go ahead and give a very warm welcome to Dan Long, the co-creator of Laughing Spree. We're going to move on to comedy.
All right. Whoa, me.
Yes.
Comedy. Nice.
So Dan, how long have you been doing comedy?
10 years, little over 10 now. 8 years down here and a couple of years up in Western PA before I moved down here.
How did you get started?
In college, there was a club at Penn State. It's called the Second Floor Comedy or Second Floor Stand Up. And you would go every week and like tell, it's basically like an open mic. And then we would do like a show like once a month. And we'd bring our friends and stuff out. And then from there, I started doing open mics after I graduated. And here we are.
Damn. Terry, you got something to say? You look like you did. That's why I'm asking.
No,
Oh, okay.
He didn't give a shit.
no.
Like,
I was
we're not talking
thinking.
about
He went to
me.
Penn State. He gives a rat's ass. Like,
So,
No, I was listening. It's still need to tilt your camera again, but that's all right.
I'm
that's what
trying
it
to get
was.
in, and there we go.
Now we can see you.
All right.
You don't look like Two-Face.
Okay. So, Dan, what is your favorite venue to perform at?
Favorite.
And wait, you can't say.
Can't say the Improvs. Too easy.
I would say the Casey and Spaz show is pretty much always been super fun.
Never done that show.
It's definitely one of my favorites.
Okay.
Solid pick. Solid pick.
I would say Casey and Spaz is one. I've never had like a bad time.
I gotta
there.
hit them up. So
Are you talking about the Black Box show or the Mulligan show?
The Black Box one, the Saturday one, yeah, the one
Mulligans.
I haven't done that one yet.
They do have a Mulligans one now.
They have two.
On Singer Island on Thursday, so I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to check.
that one's on Thursdays, and then their Mulligan show on Wednesdays up in Port St.
So
Louis.
that's the first on the Blame Girl podcast. What's the name of the venue? The Sunrise Theater.
Sunrise Theater, but it's the Black Box side. Like the Sunrise Theater is the main giant theater, but then the Black Box is where they do their shows.
Okay.
But still a nice, like solid, like pretty big venue.
Gotta get out there.
But yeah.
We couldn't do the whole theater. That's where like Jay Leno and Jerry Seinfeld performed there. You
Right.
know?
Oh wow,
Yeah.
is that nice?
Yeah.
I don't even know what the Sunrise. I mean, I've heard of it, but I know I'm not good enough to be at the Sunrise Theater yet. So
Yeah. And Funky Buddha, back in the day when that changed to Robot, that was a great sort of consistent venue. I mean, I miss it.
I came on when it was.
I missed it too, Dan.
That was.
I mean, that was I keep trying to explain to it, but that was like the place. Like every comic in South Florida was there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like it's been something that's been recreated. And it doesn't seem like just like if it was every comic, was it all comics or like how?
Well, it was an all art show. So if you were a musician or poet or something like that, you could always come out and do a set, but it was 95% comics.
Y'all usually have good sets there?
Yeah. The mic was great. It was almost consistently, you had like a good attentive audience. And then the shows too. I mean, Centron, would do early and a late show, and typically the early show would be packed, and then sometimes both would be packed, but then
you're talking about Robot.
Yeah.
Didn't somebody else host Funky Buddha, or did Centron also?
Bellick hosted it. A few people have.
Jordan hosted it for a minute.
Jordan hosted it.
Yeah.
Did Richie Lease may have at one point?
Richie Lease was or Richie Lala, aka he was actually the one that started it.
Okay.
And then when he went to LA, Centron took over running that show.
Okay, so Centron did run Funky Buddha.
Yeah, but normally I would say the host that everybody is associated with was Matt Bellick.
Yeah, he did it for a long time.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Number of years. He didn't actually. Centron still ran the show, but Bellick hosted it. So
yeah.
So back to Dan. We want to know more about Dan Long. Where have you traveled doing comedy, and like where have you gone?
Yes, actually decent amount this year. Like this year, I mean, just out of state, I did 3 shows in New York City.
Nice.
This year, did a show in Austin.
Hell yeah.
I did a show in Vegas. We did Flappers out in LA. We've gone down to Key West a couple times too to do some shows down there. So I've actually traveled decent amount this year.
Yeah.
When you did Flappers, was the Yoo-Hoo room, you mean, or the
Yoo-Hoo room? Yeah.
I love that room.
Amazing. Yeah.
Just to explain, it's a smaller room off the main room, so you would think it's not as good. I think it's better because it's about 30 to 40 people, but you're packed in so tight, and they're right there in front of you. I mean, like when I say right there, I mean they're 2 feet in front of you. There's no elevated stage to speak of, and I don't know. You'd look at that room and you'd think it wouldn't work, but it was one of the best rooms I've ever been in.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. Minda's show was like, she went the show before me. Hers was like sold out. Like it was an amazing show. Like mine was still fun, but hers was like sold out. So it's
You think it's more fun when it's sold out?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
They'll give you a tape and stuff there, like they record
Where is
evidence.
Flappers again?
It's in
LA.
Burbank. Yeah, it's in
Oh,
Burbank.
Well, yeah.
It's good. They're very good for people that are traveling. Like if you email them and get in their system, they're pretty good about letting comics that are out of area go up at the Yoo-Hoo room. If you kind of give them enough notice on it, they're pretty good about it.
I need to get out there while Brian Drolet's back out there, so I can link up with him and like.
And speaking of Richie Lala, he used to be the booker at Flappers out there. So all coming back
He's
around.
all back in Cape Coral, all booed up and about to have a baby now. So
Hey, that's how I got on that show. Was I
but
said
it
I'm
sounds
coming out
like
to LA.
did they welcome travelers or
Yeah.
I don't know. Do I have enough years in the game or
Yeah, you can go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
They don't know. They don't.
yeah, true.
Yeah,
I could lie. No,
doesn't
Dan,
matter.
what's been your favorite moment doing comedy?
Favorite moment.
Yeah, proudest moment, your favorite moment. What's made like what sticks out to you?
One that definitely sticks out. We're talking Florida's Funniest and stuff was very early on. I maybe lived down here a year and a half, and it was Florida's Funniest at the Fort Lauderdale Improv, which is no more. And I went up there. I'm new down here, whatever. There are a lot of comics on that were like solid feature and headliner, comics. I wasn't expecting anything to advance. I was just like, I'm new down here. I'm gonna do the best I can. And I had like a great set and advanced that night. And I think it kind of like changed a little bit, just kind of gave me a little bit more confidence in general of like, maybe I'm better at this than I thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've been doing it for years and it's ups and downs and, and it was like, wow, this is kind of like one moment where I felt like I'd finally maybe been acknowledged a little bit for the 3-4 years I'd put in. So that like maybe changed my mentality a little bit. So like
it feels like validation for all your self-doubt, right?
Yeah. It's like, hey, I don't have to hate myself for a minute.
I feel like
and I believe that year, didn't we competed against each other in the semifinals, didn't we?
Maybe. Yeah.
I believe so.
It was in West Palm.
Terry's like, he was like, who's that new guy I'm having to compete with?
We've been doing it almost the same amount of time.
I would have felt like that had I advanced at Florida's Funny. It's just a little bit of validation, no? But on to the next year.
So everybody likes the tip of the cap,
So what's been your biggest challenge doing comedy?
Besides being gay.
Besides being pansexual, I would say that
he always says besides the vagina to the girls. I guess this is his thing for the guy. I don't know.
Okay.
Ignore him. So what's been your biggest challenge?
I don't know. I guess one thing that I've noticed in the past couple years is just like inserting new material into my set. Like I add new stuff to it every year, but I was looking through like all my little notepad, like sticky notes of like when I put a set, when I'm going to do a show. And like I just was looking through it and it like bummed me out a little bit. And I'm like, man, I have not added as much as I would have liked to over the past 3 or 4 years. It's just bulking it up. Like you add tags and there are some new things, but
why do you think that is? Why are you not? Is it because you're not practicing them enough? Because it sounds like you're writing stuff, but you're just not adding it.
Well, like I try and insert new things in and it just like won't hit. And I'll be like, well, I know this works. And it's like when you're doing a feature spot, it's like, I know this 20 has been working for 3 or 4 years now. So it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But at the same time, you got to keep expanding if you want to, have your 45 minutes, have an hour, so.
How much time do you think you have?
I mean, I always say, 30 to 35 is where I'm sort of like, okay, I feel like it's polished. It's like, I could take that anywhere. Like if you said, okay, go up and do 40 to 45, I could make it work, but there definitely would be parts of it where I'd be a little like,
you don't know if
I'd be a little iffy on it. So
throw in some crowd work,
like I wouldn't just, freeze up there. I'd make it work, but it's like there definitely would be parts of it that I wouldn't be as confident in.
Well, I think like part of it, like Terry brought up the crowd work, and I think that's part of kind of stretching a set. Like when you are doing 45 minutes, you can have a little bit more fun with your set.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're doing 4 minutes, you have to be like, "Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
Boom, boom,
Stop
boom. Yeah.
laughing, stop,"
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
I realized when I was doing the show, the Florida's Funniest. So I got these 2 applause breaks, and they weren't because I was funny, by the way. It was just because I said something that was like positive. I guess the crowd liked it because I do a joke about how I own my own business, and they were like, "Wow," and I was like, "Fucking stop!"
Yeah.
And then I was like, and I finally get paid fairly for my labor, and they like, "Ooh, I don't have time for this," you know, like,
Yeah.
so.
Laughs, not claps. Yeah, it was. But and the thing I've noticed too over the years is like as you do develop new things and put new things, I see myself taking other things out that I don't like anymore, that don't fit me. Either like it'll be a bit that'll be like, oh, that's kind of like racial now, or it's like way darker
It's
than
like, they
like
too woke these days.
yeah, like
Yeah.
way like too dark for what the rest of my act kind of sounds like now. So
Yeah.
it's like it's feel like
Yeah.
as you do develop new stuff, it's like I'm pushing other things out that I don't like anymore.
It's like the
So,
market changed, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah. So it's like, yeah.
all right. So let's get to know about Dan Long as a human being. You like that, Terry? That's a
No.
little bit better, right? Who is Dan?
What is a Dan Long?
Where are you from, Dan?
Oh, from Western PA. I was born in Pittsburgh, and then when I was 4, I moved to Punxsutawney.
Very wholesome, yes.
Groundhog Day,
yes.
if you will. And then moved down here.
Did you
8
go
years
watch
ago.
Groundhog Day in person?
So many times. I was in high school, my senior year, I was nominated to the Groundhog, that was nominated as Groundhog King, one of 6. Did not win.
Groundhog. Okay, stop.
yeah,
Did not win.
Did
That's
not
what I'm
win, but
sorry.
I was nominated. We went up in an assembly. It was the 6 of us. Like, hey, these are your
How
Groundhog
cool
King.
was that?
Not cool at
Did you
all.
feel like King
It was it. No,
until you lost?
I lost, and yeah, I didn't really feel good about it. I didn't feel like the best and brightest were nominated, and then I thought, why am I part of this 6? What do people think of me if I
What did you think about it? Like in the end, why did you think you were nominated?
It's like when they make the kid with Down syndrome prom king, kind of
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Well, that was the thing. Like, I never knew because, like, is this a joke? Because, like, I was weird, but like, I was also like captain of the basketball team, so I didn't know if it was a popularity thing or it was a mean prank, and I'll probably never know. So, like,
Yeah.
um,
All right. So do you have a day job or
yeah. I'm a recruiter. I'm an IT recruiter. I've been doing that for 8 years now.
nice?
Yeah.
Family?
I have no family. They have all passed away. No,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Oh, I'm like, I'm sorry. to hear
Oh,
that.
no, yeah, I do. I have a brother down here that lives in
And of
Delaware.
course he has a job. Of course he
Yeah.
makes money. You think Minda's with him for his looks? Come on.
No, I mean,
And he has a wife
I
too.
couldn't even
like-
win Groundhog King. Why would she? Yeah. So yeah, like, yeah, she's not in it for the looks or the nominations. But yeah, I have a family, 2 brothers,
Oh, you have 2 brothers. I didn't realize that.
2 parents. You know,
I didn't realize you had 2 parents. It's crazy.
yeah.
Wild.
Most people only have one.
Yeah. I'm one of the lucky ones, as I say.
So let me ask you, just being a Pennsylvania native, how do you feel about the fact that Dr. Oz might be representing your state pretty soon?
I think it's an embarrassment. But he doesn't even live in Pennsylvania. Like,
He does now. He asked for like 5
Where
minutes.
does he live, Florida?
yeah, he owns like a mall kiosk, and like he's like claims residency. Like, he lives in California. He doesn't even live there. But
He lives in Jersey, actually.
Carpetbagger.
yeah,
He's
Yep.
a carpetbagger.
Yeah, that's like when a parent gets a PO box in a better school district just so they can send their kid there.
yeah,
You know? Yeah.
So are you I'll ask you about other shows, but let's just talk a little bit about Florida's Funniest. Are you excited for that? Like, what are your feelings on that? You've competed in it before.
I am excited for it. Just it's fun. It's exciting. You know, everyone's kind of talking about it in the scene now. Like it's exciting thing to do. Like I never ever in a competition will be completely confident, no matter how well or how prepared I am or how well my set went. I've done many throughout the years, and I've had a couple scenarios where my best competition set I ever had, which was in McCurdy's World Series of Comedy. I to this day am perplexed why I did not advance on that show. And I thought everything hit, but they didn't advance me. So it's like you just never know what's going on in the judge's mind, or you just never know.
Yeah,
it's political.
Yeah. So me and Terry competed, as you know, and the people that advanced were Nadeem Awad, Kyle Dahl, and John Lovelace. I can't believe I even blanked on him.
Which, congratulations to all three of them, but mainly to Kyle Dahl, with as new as he is, and had a great set and got pushed through. That was really impressive.
Amazing to see.
He did really
I would
well,
have never even.
And we had him on this podcast a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we did. I would have never even competed at his age or at his age in the game. I mean, being so new, like when I was on his level, I was like watching everybody else compete and being like, oh my God, I can't wait to do it. And then and it wasn't around for like 2 years. So.
Yeah. It's his first time.
Which show are you on, Dan?
The Casey and Spaz one.
Okay.
Sunrise Theater one, yeah.
And you know what? Are you ready to play the blame game?
Yeah.
Dan is gonna be really good with the Mr. X. Who's to blame? Why are you so damn good at that? Like I told Dan last week, he always does this one, and I'm like, you always get me. And I don't even know why, because I know his jokes. But I'm always like, what show?
Yeah. The misdirections, why am I so good at them? I was molested as a child. It's a misdirection. Boom, right there. Got you. Didn't happen.
Well, you did go to Penn State, so
yeah. Hey, that's our show. Got it right there.
But that's
no, I know. It's just, but I don't know. I like writing bits that way. I like to try and
they're so good.
Take you on one journey and then veer off to another.
I definitely encourage you guys to get out and see Dan. Dan, how can they find you on social media? Do you have any upcoming shows? We already talked about Florida's Funniest Saturday at Sunrise. No, the Black Box at Sunrise Theater.
Yeah. It's Saturday. Yeah, at Florida's Funniest.
What else you got going on? Give them your socials.
So the social handles, we got the Laughing Spree TV on Instagram, Facebook. It's on TikTok now. We're doing
we need to talk about that before we go to Terry Lane's Words for White People. Laughing Spree while we're on it. Okay. And then we'll let you talk about shows and then your personal socials. Tell us about Laughing Spree.
So Laughing Spree is a comedy network, that Minda, my wife and I created, where we're trying to just do, sketches, we do like a travel show, we do stand-up clips. A lot of it's to kind of like showcase like South Florida comedians and stuff. We use all South Florida comics, you've been in it.
Definitely.
A lot of comics you see performing down here, we like to put in it. And, we just want to build kind of a network that we can also use to do live shows. We use it for we do the improv shows, and we did the festival, as Laughing Spree Fest. So that's what we want to turn it into. Like, I remember, that's what they used to do with like a College Humor or Funny or Die, where it's a comedy network, but then you can see Comedy Die or Funny or Die Presents, and they do stand-up showcases. Like we would love to create something like that with it, where it's just like something that someone recognizes, and then there's a bunch of different parts to it, whether it's live shows or videos on YouTube and Instagram and stuff too.
All right, so you can follow Laughing Spree to catch some of those videos. We've shared them personally. Where's your personal social media?
Dan Long Comedy, Facebook, Instagram, and Christian Mingle.
TikTok?
It is on, I am on TikTok. I have not
I couldn't find
uploaded any videos yet, but I'm going to this week. First TikTok
It's
videos.
Dan Long Comedy there? I
Dan
couldn't
Long
find you.
Comedy to
Okay.
both of my followers on there. They are gonna
I'll
love
have
me.
to find you and give you a third.
That's it.
Okay, what other shows other than the Florida's Funniest you got coming up?
So we got, we're gonna be announcing it sort of officially soon. We're doing these like don't tell comedy shows, where it's, like it's in a area and then it's, hey, whatever area it is, but they don't tell you the venue till like the day of or whatever, and you show.
Fun.
So we're doing these don't tell comedy shows in a couple weeks. Yeah, like beginning of November. Then I got Boca Black Box the weekend of Thanksgiving.
I think I might be there with you.
Are you on that? Yeah,
So-
Friday, Saturday.
So the Don't Tell show does just basically pop-up comedy shows?
Yeah, they're pop-up comedy shows. Yeah, it's a promotion kind of based out in LA. And Minda's been working with them. So.
All I know is the long-standing, very business-oriented when it comes to comedy, and y'all, that's a big one that they've got coming up. So you got to follow him, Dan Long Comedy, Laughing Spree. I think it's time for Terry Wayne's Words for White People.
This week it's jobs. We're in election season. It's jobs. That's what everybody talks about is jobs. Democrats, Republicans, jobs. And I think it's one of the biggest lies that any politician tells any person. Because, what is a job? We need more jobs. And I personally think we need less. America wasn't built on people with jobs. They were built on people who knew how to do something. So maybe instead of worrying about where your next job is coming from, maybe go out and find something you're good at and do it for yourself. It was once said that you'll never get rich working for somebody else, but you will make them rich. So maybe it's time to stop worrying about jobs and start thinking about how you could create your own job. Now, I was fortunate enough to figure this out at a young age. So most of the time I've worked for myself, and the bulk of things that I've done or achieved or the money I've made has been because I believed in myself rather than somebody else. So maybe I think that's what and this is really more of a words for all people. Stop worrying about where your next job's coming from and start thinking about what job you could create for yourself. That way, at the end of the day, all your work goes towards your benefit only. So yeah, we need less jobs and we need more job creators.
Okay, let me just opine here because I don't even want to call myself a job creator. I have my own business.
You created one, at least.
Myself, I have people that work with me, but I think about going back to the old ways all the time. I think about, let me just go get a job because it's hard trying to just create for yourself. But I've never.
It was worth having.
I've never had so much freedom, and it wouldn't have allowed me to do comedy if I didn't do this. So, but
anything worth having is hard.
Yeah, it is hard. So.
You don't like it? You don't want to work hard? Fine, go work for Target. They're more than happy to exploit you for their own gain.
Way of the economy anyway. There's so many people working for themselves, but I don't think that's for everybody, and I reserve the right to go back to the workforce.
Go ahead.
Sure, just make us famous comedians so we don't have to worry about that, and we can just keep working for ourselves.
I'm just saying you can't make yourself rich and somebody else at the same time.
Terry, what you got coming up this week?
This week, 21st, I am at the Swampgrass Willie's show coming up. Be there with Stephanie Wood and Fat Chops.
Oh, is this the return of Fat Chops?
This is I don't know if he left, but yeah, sure. This is
came for the road.
This is the return of Swampgrass Willie's comedy shows.
Oh, okay.
They're comedy shows now. They're not just open mics. So I'm here for it. I was on the last one and it was a lot of fun. So
Nice.
And then when is your Florida's Funniest for Dania?
Dania, I believe, is the 26th in Dania.
Next week. Okay.
And let me tell you something. That is one of the most stacked shows I've ever been on.
Yeah.
So much talent coming to that stage. So many great comics. I have no illusions of going through. I just want to go down. I've never been to Dania, so I want to try out that club.
Yeah, that was smart. That
and
was smart. Like, let me just get on stage there. So
anybody who goes through on that show got lucky. I'm going to say it right now. Anybody. I don't care which comic it is. Anybody on that show that gets through it's their night. God lucky, because the competition there is thick enough to pour on pancakes. Like,
all right. I am at Cielo Lounge in Port St. Lucie on Thursday. And then I'm at the Italian American Club on Saturday in Sebastian, Florida. And then I'll be closing out the library on Saturday night. So I've got some other stuff going on.
I got to get to the library too. I haven't been there either.
You should come there this weekend.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Until next week.
Thank you for having me.
Well, and again, our apologies that it took so long.
Yeah, definitely, Dan.
Because when she mentioned you hadn't been on, I was like, oh, he's been on. We had Dan on. She's like, no. And I was like, no, we did.
Just in my mind, we had him on already too. So
Yeah.
any comics that would like to be on, just reach out to Terry. He's in charge of booking. And we'd love to have you on.
Yeah,
So
and they'll get you on in 2 years. You know
okay, good night.
you know how many Mondays I spent crying?
Shut up,
How
Dave.
many Mondays I
Sure.
spent crying
I'm
when you guys
so
went by?
sure.